So we should be live. Let's do this. This is gonna look so stupid, but I'll edit this so it doesn't look ridiculous because we are
It's,
live right now.
that's all good.
But I want to send the link to the chat. Um,
It's funny. I have 3 subscriptions. I have the NFL, right, for the ticket package,
uh-huh.
Sean Murphy, and some kid stuff for my kid, like Rachel,
Hmm,
Miss Rachel. So you're one of the 3 that I'm following. So
nice. I'm
yeah.
I'm
Oh
I'm
yeah.
honored.
It's funny.
Okay,
I have
and this
3
actually is looking
subscriptions.
like I wanted it to, so that's good.
Yeah.
Let's share, copy, open group me back up. All right, cool. Welcome to the Points League. I'm your hosting commissioner, Sean Murphy. I'm here with Vijay, my favorite Detroit Red Wings fan. We're going to buy some tickets in a bit, but I wanted to welcome you back to the show. Tremendous season, of course. It's a little weird. I'm sure bittersweet losing to me in the finals. I think probably every other score that's put up 395 in a finals has won. So, like, sucks. It happens. Uh, Tremendous season.
You
I
know,
thought you were the best team. I voted for you as the best team the entire way. Other than at the very beginning with Jack, but you were the off-season winner. Um, any initial thoughts? What were your emotions? Like I feel like during or particularly the weekend, like things just kind of swung back and forth. Like we were really close, like throughout the entire weekend. Like you had a lead, and then I'd have a slight lead, and then it was just like neck and neck.
I thought I was going to win it until Frankie Montez almost, I mean, pretty much screwed me. And then I saw that the Brewers made a mysterious like comeback from
Yeah.
like 15 runs down or whatever, 8 runs down. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's gonna be poetic justice that Zach Wheeler, the pitcher that you sold me at the beginning of the
Yes.
year, ends up beating you, and it just didn't work out. It just felt like one of the NFC championship game for the Lions earlier this year, where everything was lining up and it just didn't work out. But you know what? Probably 9 times out of 10, my team probably would have beat yours. I think my team was good. I would have beat Rob Krabby too. That would have been 3-0. I was happy to beat. Um, I was happy to beat Habby as well too. That was kind of a nice little redemption from 10 years ago, almost
I
12 years
remember
ago, I
that one.
think. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think it leaves me for yearning for more, and I have all the pieces I think to keep it rolling into next year. I have some cash, and I have some chips. If people want to buy once the off season starts up, I mean, if somebody wants to get stronger, come bring me some cash.
Yeah, I definitely think you have the opportunity to reload. Um, like you didn't go kind of all out with the cash, neither you nor well, you did kind of go all the way. You were you have a little bit more cash than I do, but you have the assets to liquidate them and get some cash back pretty easily with Fromber, Wheeler, or any. Your pitching staff was insane.
Yeah,
And like
my pitching staff was insane, but I think my deal it was bittersweet. The biggest trade I made that was bittersweet was trading J Rod to
yeah,
Jack, which was a great deal, right? I got some pieces that kept me getting 400 points throughout the year, but then I got J Rod. is gone now, but I got $50 from that too. So now I have some cash to make sure I don't have to sell somebody like Gunner instead.
Yeah, I mean, he was huge for you, especially the first half of the season. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, the pitching staff was just really overwhelming all the way through, which was part of the reason that I like. Usually, the team with the best pitching staff wins the league. That's just typically how it works. I just like because like you streamed like pretty well. The only one that I didn't even disagree with the Frankie Montas because I thought it was a really tough week to stream in general. I didn't think there were a lot of options. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I had a lot of
Yeah.
challenges figuring out who I wanted to go with. Um, and the best one that I picked up wasn't even a pitcher. It was replacing Lindor with Michael Harris, who went bucket
Yeah,
crazy.
the outfielder from the Braves, he
Yeah, he
just
went
came out
crazy.
of nowhere.
He had 48 points in the last week. And just killed it. And like my streaming wasn't that good. Like I only got like 4 or 5 points I think out of everyone. And then you had, and this drove me crazy when it happened because I had streamed Brandon Fott the prior week, and he got
Yeah.
blown up for -11 or something like that. And like you get like 25 points out of him. I was like, fuck you, dude. I was so
So
annoyed.
here's the thing: is I missed my alarm that morning. You I don't know if you stayed up till 3 o'clock or you
I
woke
set
up
an
at three
alarm
o'clock.
because I noticed that
Okay,
you had
so
been
I set
getting
an
up.
alarm and I missed my alarm, but Ishan woke up in the middle of the night, and
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get on this. And you picked up Schmidt
Uh
and
huh.
some other dude that day. I can't remember. I think it was Singer. You picked up Schmidt and Singer, and I was like,
Yes.
screw that. It's like 3:50 in the morning. I'm gonna go pick up Brandon Paft. And he probably I just gotta get lucky on it. So what I did was I checked FanDuel to see what his potential strikeouts would be that game, and it said +5 was a -110. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna, I think I'll just get lucky with that. I mean, the odds show that way. And then Cantillo, I think, was the other guy, and
Yes.
Cantillo got me a couple points. But uh, yeah, I got lucky with Paft. He beat the FanDuel odds for sure.
Yeah. Interesting. I was. It's really interesting that you bring up the streaming because, like, I think throughout the season, like, you definitely had like the lowest like ads of any of the playoff teams, but that's a really good way to kind of get like a projection gauge is just by going to the odds and checking the strikeout over under because that's usually a pretty good approximation of where they're going to end up at. Um,
Yeah,
so I was kind of curious, like what you use. Like, there's so many different resources, and I'm always curious, like what are people using to do that part of the game because it's such like an important part in season. But that's a really good way to do it. But yeah, I mean, I thought like overall, like you pitched like you're like you had like 80 innings pitched and scored like 210 points or something like that, which is nuts. Like usually like the way that I kind of do the shorthand is if you get 2 points per inning pitched, you're doing really 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 well. But you were like way over that. It just felt like your hitting was just kind of had like a 40th percentile week. Like it was like kind of average. It wasn't like bad, but it wasn't what I had on the flip side. I had my best offense the week of the season. Um, is basically just what happened.
yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at these numbers. It's like Rooker. It's the one week he went cold. Riley Green went cold. Churio went cold. Gunner 18 points. He usually goes for like 20 to 30 for me. Marcus Seaman didn't do anything until the last 2 days of the week as well too. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it was very average from what I could compare to. But maybe I was just spoiled with how good they were all season long. And then I was going to say Burt Reynolds. Brian Reynolds just completely shot the bed for me. Like he only had.
Yeah. Um, oh, where did I? Nope, you're still there. Okay, good. Sorry
I'm
about
still
that.
here. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, you're still there.
Sorry,
I did
I
something
think
weird.
the ghost of Brian Reynolds just kind of shut me
Yeah,
off for a second.
yeah, and then he didn't even play the last day. I think that's the hardest thing is like I was pretty frustrated when I saw Ian Happ got scratched because they had like a
Hmm.
rain delay, and then I was like, he's in the lineup, he's leading off, this is a good matchup, and then out. I was like, ah, fuck. But yeah, it was. It was a wild one. That's I played in a couple close finals, and that one was like probably the most exciting like to follow along to. Because there was so much scoring on both ends. I mean, both of us almost hit 400. I thought both of us would hit 400 when I put out that poll. I didn't know who would. I really had no idea who would win, especially at that point in time, because I thought like Montas did have a chance going into that game, getting like a quality start. Like he was definitely capable of going six, which I think is like a big part of the battle at this point of the year. Is can you find someone who can go 6 innings and at least give you some quality start equity? And he can throw in some strikeouts occasionally, but he finally got pounded by a really good offense in Arizona, who've just been amazing the past month and a half.
You
Um,
know, I double checked that with the odds. Like Vegas knows, right? So I was like, okay, he's gonna get. It says he's gonna probably get like 5 to 6 strikeouts. That's where the odds lied. And then, the Brewers are gonna win by a point and a half, which they did. But it just happened that he
yeah,
got
that
crushed
was a
in
wild game.
between.
I was so
Yeah,
annoyed when they blew that. I was like, because I was watching, my setup on Sunday was Sunday's a big poker day for me. So it was
hmm
pretty nice here outside. So I was sitting outside and I had the blinds drawn up so I could see in, and I had like 4 games going at one time because they have like that, it's almost like MLB Red Zone, basically, if you will. So they would just
sure.
bounce between the games, so I'd be able to like look over and see like Montas pitching, or like if Aaron Judge was at bat or Jose Ramirez was at bat. Um, so it was pretty wild, like just kind of going through those swings, especially with you having 3 guys, because Blake's now shoved, um, and like he was like I knew I knew he was gonna do well. Like you just know with Blake Snell, he's at least gonna rack up strikeouts, and then Wheeler did what Wheeler always does, and he
hmm
actually got really unlucky. Um, in a lot of ways because he pitched great. He just gave up that bomb to Nimmo, and the Phillies couldn't score, which
Yeah,
also was problematic. Because it wasn't like
yeah. I
McGill pitched great. He just he went 4, and he got some strikeouts, fortunately, which helped a lot. But I mean, he didn't even go 5. So
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a weird Sunday, I mean, but it was bittersweet. I was telling you on the side, and I'm sorry to our resident Royal fan Trent. I think the Royals, lost position now to the Tigers. Gunnar Henderson had a shot at like knocking in a bunch of points for me on Sunday, and he didn't. He got struck out all 3 times, or 2 out of 3 times out there, and I was like, okay, you know what, whatever. The Tigers won. They're in playoff contention right now,
yeah,
so it was very bittersweet. So
yeah. I mean, it's a far cry from the Reds, who fired their manager on Sunday night. And David Bell
yeah,
had been the manager, I think, for 5 years, 5 or 6 years. Probably overdue. But yeah, at least you've got the Tigers to look forward to. They should be good for the next couple years.
yeah,
I mean, they've got a good farm system. Um, can see that
they got
Trent
size.
has put into the chat that the Tigers suck and he's triggered. So
Yeah,
that's
must see
wonderful.
Scott Cy Scoble, Cy Scooble.
Yeah,
He's gonna tear it up. Well, he tore it up today, and he's gonna tear it up again in the playoffs.
yeah, yeah. It should be exciting. Um, just kind of taking a step back, like, what were your thoughts, like, kind of starting at the beginning of the season, and then, as the season progressed? Because, like, big expectations. Like, I picked you, I think, actually to finish second, won the off season. What were your thoughts of the like after the auction, and then like kind of right at the beginning of the season? Like, tell us like your journey.
Yeah. So started the season. I finished the auction, and I was. It was funny. I was like, man, my team looks good. My team feels good. Um, and I was like, okay, there are a few people that I think will be tough to compete against. But I have Trout. I have all these bats there that I needed. I needed bats, and I needed a few other arms. My arms were great, and I felt Wheeler was the top piece, and Valdez was there as well too. Um, and then, as the season progressed, I some lackluster starts at the beginning. Um, but then, Trout got hurt. Then we had a few injuries in between. Ladodo kept getting hurt all the way through the season, I felt like. Um, but then I had some pitchers coming back, and then Ty Skubal started getting hot. So I was like, okay, this is starting to get good, but I need some extra pieces. I think I made a trade to try to get another arm with Charlie Morton from Gower,
Yep.
which, I was like, okay, maybe this might help out. And it turns out he didn't help out. But I think, I was kind of on the cusp. I was like probably top six, top seven in the league. And then I made those couple, trade deadline moves, right? Got some bats, got Machado, obviously got rid of J Rod with that and got some cash. But before that, getting Snell, getting Nola, that just made it so my team pretty much was unstoppable after that. And then, I think I was down several hundred points to Krabby in terms of points, for top points in the league. And my team just started raking towards the second half of the year. They got hot, and pretty much it was up to the last week until, you Krabby ended up winning the points battle. But no, it felt that the season went well. It felt like, one of those old JV Justin Verlander starts, right? You start slow, you get better, and then all of a sudden you get really hot, and then you end up with a complete game or a no hitter, which got me into the playoffs and got me into a great spot in the playoffs. I thought, I was like, okay, this matchup with Habby first round, that's going to be tough. And then it went well. I thought like, okay, this is going to be fun. It's going to be a good matchup. It came to the last, few days, and I didn't, I felt like it was good, poetic justice in a sense to beat him in the first round, and then that led to our matchup, which we just talked about. And I thought I was very confident coming in. I thought you were very confident in my team as well too, and my team just
Yes.
didn't
I thought you were gonna. Yeah,
match.
I
Yeah.
thought pretty much from August on you would win. It was really more of a question in my mind whether or not you would catch Rob in the total points. Because I felt like you were right there. Like the other thing was Rob's team peaked probably sometime in May. I don't know if he realizes that, but he really didn't put up big numbers in any week. He basically scored in like the low 330s to 320s, or like he had like a bad week, and like the team he was playing just had a bad week. So like it was one of those seasons where he wasn't overwhelming, but just continuously won. Um, but like I actually felt that worked against him. Like I felt like he was kind of on cruise control for a lot, particularly the second half of the season, and he didn't go all in at the deadline, which I thought was a massive mistake. And his team was so top heavy, between we had Shohei and Betts and a couple good pitchers, but like the bottom part of his roster was really underwhelming. Like I just can't imagine having Volpe on his roster going into the playoffs. Like he was hitting the 9 hole. Like generally speaking, if you're playing in the playoffs and like part of it is you just want to accrue plate appearances. You don't want a 9 hole hitter hitting on your team, and especially one that doesn't have a lot of power. So like I really felt like Rob missed some opportunities late. I thought his last week of the regular season was I felt like he was kind of confused whether or not he should play for the points title and like prohibit you from winning, or get a bunch of starters for Monday and Tuesday of the playoff week. And I felt like he kind of went halfway because like his first move was getting rid of Jake McCarthy, I think, which wasn't a bad move. It was just that should be done on a Sunday, not a Monday. So like he burnt an ad for no reason, and like I just felt like there were a lot of wasted motions with with his team. And your team was like just the strength of the pitching was going to keep you in it. Like and we like I talked about it with Rob, and I don't know. I kind of feel like Andrew wanted to do this too. We were all trying to avoid you, is basically how I felt about it. Like, I did not want to play you in the first round, which was why I had no problem losing like weeks at the end of the season to ensure that I was going to get the 4 seed. So I would much rather play Rob. I basically viewed Rob and Andrew about the same because Andrew's team was all offense and his pitching was pretty mediocre or like pretty average. Like he made some moves and like I mean he had he made the playoffs. He had some equity to make the championship, but like in my mind it was just how do I avoid playing Vijay in the first round? And then if I have to play you in the second round, well that's great. Like if you make the champ like and I said that in the chat like. If you make the championship week, you had a successful season. There's just no getting away around that. Like you're just, you know, the variance gods you know, they're either for you or against you that week, and there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do about it because like you're so dependent on whatever your schedule is. So like I mean my regular season was how do I play Rob? I think this team's not nearly as good as kind of what he thinks it is. Like because even if you compare it to say last year against Andrew's team kicked the shit out of everyone. There was no doubt
Hmm.
about who was the best team, so I was just happy to play him. But like I didn't go in with the expectation of winning. Um,
Yeah.
and
Well,
like
with Krabby's team, I mean, he was. I remember Grayson Rodriguez, I think, was on his team, and then
yeah,
Glass now, right? I mean,
yeah,
if those two were there, those two arms were there, I think he would have been right there in the championship game, right? Because that's two
he
strong
probably would
arms.
have.
But
But like my whole thing with that is like I lost Joe Ryan and Justin Steele the last month of the season. Like you lose guys, you lose the
hmm,
guys that you just paid for, and you have to deal with that. I lost Lindor literally three
sure.
days before we went into the championship week. So like one of the things that I think people miss is the amount of depth that you have to have, particularly pitching wise, to get over those obstacles because those
Hmm.
are the challenges that you face. Like I remember when Matt Harvey had his massive year and I had him on my team. We blew out his arm like August 27th, and then another year Stan got hit in the fucking face by Mike Fiers. 3 weeks before. Like these things happen. Like it's just the reality of it, and that's why you're only as like it's kind of the cliche. You're only as strong as your weakest link. And like when I look at Rob's team and I see Anthony Volpe, I'm like, that's a pretty weak fucking link. So I I I thought he set himself up in some ways for failure in the playoffs. Tremendous regular season, did a really good job, but like I was not impressed with his end game, as they say.
I was hoping he would beat you so I can go 3-0 against him, honestly. But
Well, I've been
you know,
wanting to beat him in the playoffs with like the past 3 or 4 seasons, like because he got knocked out by Johnny 1 year, and then he got knocked out by maybe Kaiser another year or something like that. Or no, it was Tim. Tim beat him a couple years ago, and I was like, damn, I
hmm,
really want to just shove on Rob because like usually he does kind of whimper into this time of the year, and he's good in the spring, but he's kind of shitty in the fall. Um,
yeah. All joking aside, I mean, I think obviously I love that Gower and Tetra are in the league. I think
yes.
people outside of fights, it brings a good energy in. Trent and Krabby, they bring a lot of good shit talking back and forth with each other, and I think
Oh yeah.
it's gonna keep this league going for a while. It reminds me of when I won the football league several years ago, and Johnny just kept talking shit, and then I beat him at the end of the year. And it's good. It just brings that, you know, you know, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to beat somebody. Everybody has a target on everybody's back. It
Yeah.
brings a lot of fun to the league.
Yeah. Yeah. And Trent's been really a tremendous addition. Like
Oh yeah,
vocal, a new flavor, which I think is needed every once in a while. So he's been as advertised. Great recommendation by Tim, referring him into the league. And I'm looking forward to you guys getting to meet him. I'm hoping that he'll be in New Orleans for the auction this March. We haven't finalized the date yet. Try to figure that out. It's really tough because it's either we're gonna have Vandy there or we're gonna have Rob there. I want both of them to be there, obviously. So we'll try to figure that out in the coming weeks. Um, but yeah, no, he's. I think he's a lot of fun. He fits in. I think like, and I did get to meet him after the auction the next day. He came up from Bloomington because he was doing, the little five stuff, and I think he would pretty much fits in with the group of guys pretty seamlessly, which is pretty evident in the group me chat. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he changes his roster and what year two looks like, because it could be a big jump. I think he figured out a lot of things, kind of as the season progressed. So
Wasn't he picked to finish last by you, right?
I picked Tim to finish last because like Tim
Oh,
basically punted from week before the auction practically.
sure.
Um, but yeah, I had him lower. Like it's just hard. Like it's hard to come into this league and know what to do, and obviously he wasn't there, and it was
Yeah.
it like that was like the auction was the low point, but everything got better afterwards. He figured stuff out. Like he's positioned himself well for next year. So I
He was
think
definitely
coming
a tough
years,
out throughout the week. He was definitely a tough out,
he
like
was yeah he
it
was
wasn't like
streaming
a
all the
gimme
way
game.
through. He and Matt Neiswinger. I wanted to mention that.
Yeah,
Like Matt
yeah.
did a really
Matt
good
Eisner
job because
too.
some people check out like Adam. I mean sometimes people check out in May. I mean just how it goes. But yeah, he was working it. But yeah, no, and we're getting a lot of comments in the chat. I don't know if you can see him. Tim Byrne has stated that Vijay looks like he is potting from a local Ashley's Home Goods.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good setup you've got there. That is like a nice sectional?
Yeah, it's like this thing I got in Chicago at Valley City Furniture. So it's a pretty cheap piece of furniture, but it's kind of nice. It's comfy. And I
Yeah.
got a TV over here in the basement, and yeah, but it's a nice little spot here in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, because I wasn't quite sure if you moved to Ann Arbor or Detroit, but you
Yep.
moved, what, a year or 2 years ago now?
Yeah, no, it's been a year actually.
Yeah.
1 year and 1 month ago, moved here from Naperville area. I left my old company, went to a competitor, and they're based out of around the Ann Arbor area. And I mean, I had my first kid, and so it's easier, around here. My parents are around, so they can help babysit my kid. And it's easier for Gary and I to hang out. And I like Ann Arbor. I like Michigan. I've been to
Yeah.
a lot of sports games around here. Have a lot of friends around here as well too. It's easy
Yeah.
to fly out as well out of DTW too, so we can go wherever.
It's home. Yeah. I,
Yeah,
I, I totally get that. We fly out of Detroit. It really just depends on what the better price is. Like, because, like, if we drive through, then we have to go through immigration, park the car, and then, like, when we're coming back, drive and go through immigration again at the border. So usually we go out of Pearson, which is, like, one of the worst airports in the world. It's, like, a larger one. I've kind of mixed it. It really just depends on the price. Just given the timing, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to and like I think we kind of we didn't even mention this, but like we kind of agreed that we were gonna go to the Red Wings Maple Leafs game with like the winnings before the week
yeah.
started. So once we finish up, I'll buy the tickets and we'll figure out. I get like what is like how far is like would we do you think we should probably get a hotel that night, right?
I think we should stay in Detroit. Detroit's
Okay.
really nice now. It's
Yeah.
so clean. Um, and safe too. Like when I left for high school to Indiana, it was. I remember going to a Red Wings game and the street lights were out. There were so many potholes on the streets near the Joe and stuff like that. It wasn't safe at all. And now, like we can walk to any bar, take Ubers, and not get shot and stuff like that. So I think it's safer. I love Chicago, and I would go out to
Yeah.
Chicago anytime. But like
I've enjoyed my
supposedly is
time in
safer
Detroit
than
when I've
Chicago,
gone.
and
Yeah.
I mean, I think Chicago's pretty safe as well too. So we'll have a good time in Detroit, and we can go to the casinos. There's like 4 casinos in the
Yeah,
area.
I've spent
So
a lot of time at the MGM Grand, playing and stuff. And then like we had one. This was during COVID. We couldn't get back across because we couldn't get like our COVID test results. So we ended up staying a night at MGM Grand. I just played poker until 4 in the morning, which is great. And then we went the next morning. But yeah, no, that sounds perfect. I think it's gonna be a really fun weekend, December
yeah,
14th. So
Trent wants to tag along. Looks like we can make it a big weekend if we want to.
yeah, yeah, I would love to see Trent. Yeah, absolutely. Um, it's and he lives. I think he lives. Yeah, I think he's moving to Ann Arbor too. So like, I think he'll be not far
Oh,
from you. So another buddy to go with to a Tigers game. I would definitely like to meet up next weekend or next year for like Tigers Reds or something like that. Or shit, I'll do Tigers Royals whatever. Um, but yeah, I definitely enjoy going to Comerica. It's a good time.
yeah, go
So
for a
yeah,
Cy
yeah,
Scoville
yeah.
game
I'm an
versus somebody.
endorsee of Detroit.
Let's
Reluctantly,
go.
because I feel like when I show up to December 14th in like my Matthews jersey, I feel like I'm not going to be well received. But I mean, I know there's going to be
there's gonna be
a lot of
there's
Leafs
gonna be a
fans.
lot of Maple Leafs fans. Yeah,
Yeah,
there. So
yeah. The fact that
oh
all of the
shit, Trent
tickets
just
weren't
moved to
sold
Ann Arbor
out
last
doesn't
week.
happen with the Leafs. Like they're sold out for the whole season. Like the day tickets go on sale, like it's
Ah,
insane. And then it's like 1,000. Like the seats that we're gonna get, which are expensive, would go for like I don't want to say twice that, but probably $200 or $300 more at least. The least it's fucking insane.
yeah, well, it's cheaper here. It'll be fun here in Detroit,
Yeah,
and hopefully the Wings whoop the Leafs' ass. The Leafs suck. Actually, I was looking at odds. I don't think anybody cares on this pod except you and I, but the Leafs are not even a top 6 team in Stanley Cup Finals odds,
yeah.
which
Well,
is
it doesn't
weird. I've
surprise
never
me.
seen that.
I like. I was telling someone today, like I'm looking forward to the season started. I can't wait to be excited here the first few weeks of the season, and then inevitably just be completely disappointed in the spring when they get knocked out in the first round. It's like the worst. It's such like a weird team to like choose because like growing up in Cincinnati, like I can't say that I've supported winners the majority of my life between the Reds, the
See,
Bengals,
you can't say that. I've
the
supported the
Pacers.
Lions.
You've
I've
won like
supported the
well the Lions, but
Tigers.
like at
I've
least you
supported
had
the
like the Red Wings and
Pistons,
the Pistons.
the Tigers, the Indiana Hoosier football team, which is whooping ass right now. I mean,
Yeah,
shout out to Coach Sig.
it's
And
great to
yes,
hear
I've
that our
had bad
football team's
teams.
doing well. I
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to being excited come bowl season. I do not follow college sports at all, basically, until the very end. But
I think
I
I think
see
you
Tim
should turn it
Burns live
on.
tweeting, so that's how I stay somewhat informed.
Tim Burn and Trent both live tweet IU. So a lot of people are talking about moving this draft to Ann Arbor instead. We're doing it in Detroit. We should do it.
We would we'd probably get better attendance, that's for sure. Um,
Yeah.
I I don't want to change. I don't want to change it on a whim, but like if everyone like came forward and was like, "Let's do it in Ann Arbor," like I'm not gonna argue that it's a much cheaper situation for me.
Or
But like
Detroit. Yeah.
but like going to New Orleans, it particularly that time of the year when it's gonna be like warm and shit is pretty
Yeah.
appealing. Just knowing how March is up here in the Northwest Territory, as it were. Um, yeah. So, but yeah. Go on about the Lions. Like I'm sure they're doing much better than my Bengals, who are now 0-3 because of rookie sensation Jaden. What's his last name? McFarland.
Daniels.
Daniels.
Jaden
Yeah,
Daniels.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jalen Daniels. Yeah, just really making Caleb Williams look like shit all the time.
I was wondering what Bears fans would think. I was like, man, this guy looks good. He looks like a leader. I mean, Caleb Williams looks good. He can whip it around. The thing is, he just gets beat up every single game because he has no offensive line. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I have like even though he looked great against the Bengals yesterday, I have some real concerns about that body holding up in the NFL. Like he's not nearly as thick as even Jalen Hurts. And the obvious comp is obviously RG3, and like I can see where it's probably going to be successful like that for a bit, but I just feel like he's gonna have a really difficult time finding health, especially with an expanded regular season. I'm very skeptical, but he's very exciting to watch. So
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, it just all depends on how he gets protected. If they get an offensive line like next year or the year after, then he'll be fine. But look at Burrow. I mean, they had a decent offensive line, and he can barely grip a ball or a what's it called a water bottle. There's this big thing
oh
going
yeah,
on
that
that
was ridiculous.
he couldn't
Burrow
pick up a
played
water
great
bottle.
yesterday. Like I don't have any issue. Like our defense like was atrocious, and like I don't know what the answer is. Like I thought Burrow looked great yesterday, and like looked the closest to 2022. Um, like because I didn't think he looked right last year, even when he was healthy and things were quote unquote going well. But he looked a lot better throwing the ball downfield yesterday. So I don't have any concerns about him, but. I don't know. I don't know what that team's going to do. They've been in these spots, I feel like, the past 3 or 4 seasons. Like, they always start out of the gate really slow and then make a run in October, November. But I just, I don't know. But it could easily be like a 9-8 sort of season where they miss the playoffs. But it's not like anyone else in the AFC North has really gotten off to a hot start either. So I'm not super concerned, but you would think with a fourth place schedule that we would be something better than 0-3.
That's true. I mean, the AFC looks kind of different this year. I mean, I thought the Ravens were going to be taking over that division completely, but they don't want to. I don't think Lamar's doing anything yet, but he'll take over. We got uh, the Lions. I don't know. They're kind of they're injury plagued already. I'm worried about the Packers. The Vikings all of a sudden are 3-0 out of nowhere with Sam Darnold's mono ass, and obviously the Bears can always sneak up and take a few, even though Caleb doesn't get protection at all. So I don't know. It may be a playoff year, but not really a division year, which sucks that the Packers still have are always in it. I just hope Jordan Love gets hurt. I think a lot of people do in this chat.
Yeah. Um, so it looks like, yeah, we got like Trent, Matt, Tim, Gower in the chat. Which of
Matt
those,
Neiswinger.
yeah, if you had to guess, like you exclude everyone from the that made the playoffs this year, which of those teams will make the playoffs next year that are in the chat? If you had to
Uh, I
guess.
think I think Gower and Gower Tetro. They got a good shot. I don't know. Tim has a lot of work to do, but anything can happen. Nice swinger always is a tough out. He always makes the playoffs, or he's right on the fringe. And I think Trent. I mean, if he adds the right pieces and drafts well, he'll be right there too. I think Gower would be the closest.
Mm. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see who they go and buy, or Tetro and Gower. I do feel like Matt is like a perennial fifth or sixth place team. Always comes up like a win short of making the playoffs. Um, I think Tim's gonna have some really good players. Like he should be pretty well positioned, and as should Trent. So should be an exciting offseason. I'm sure you're gonna get a
Yeah.
lot of offers on New Year's Day.
Yep.
Um, will be here before you know it. I'm relieved always when the baseball season ends. It's like such a grind, but like you kind of just get used to the daily the daily process of it. Um, but yeah, I'm very curious. I'm looking forward to that like blockbuster off season night like that we had this year, where there was like 10 trades, and they were all like big time players. That was such like a fun night. But yeah, it'll be here before you know it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
open it up to the chat. Um, what do you guys want to talk about? Do you have something that you want to ask VJ and I? Could be related to the fantasy baseball season or otherwise. See what we get. By the way, who is your jersey of? Is that Yzerman?
Uh, no, that is London Kings, London Knights.
Yes.
Great, Brendan Shanahan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's why I
team
wore it. I was like, oh,
president of the Leafs. Yeah, I
Maple
remember.
Leafs. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a banner over
Yep.
over
He's
there
retired
at the
jersey
nice
over for the
stadium.
London Knights. Yeah. I think.
By the way,
I'm
you should
either wearing
come
his
here
jersey
sometime
to.
this winter to take in a Knights game.
Yeah.
Like well, I know you'll probably be busy come
Yeah.
February with some dad duties, but if you were able to, I know Amanda will be like in February, March. She'll be gone. She'll be in Europe. So I'll have this place all to myself. If you wanted to crash here, that goes for anyone. They wanted to come visit me up here in the wonderful winterland that is London, Ontario. Taking a
Yeah.
night's game.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe that, or we can make it towards the playoff time. I don't know if they play towards. If the
Yeah,
Wings and Leafs made it to a first round playoffs, that would be awesome.
yeah, it'd be pretty sick.
Yeah. All right, we got some questions. Favorite airports? Detroit Metro Airport. It's easy to move around and get around.
My
I
favorite airport
like
is actually the Indianapolis airport.
Indianapolis is great as well too. I love Vegas because of just the noise when you land into Vegas and the
Yeah,
colors and all that stuff. That's pretty cool.
it's epic camera.
Uh, uh,
If you could pick one team that you expect Krabby to be a fan of, which team would that be? I'm presuming that's like outside of all the teams that he currently cheers for. Um, oh, he would be like if I had to choose like hockey, he probably has a team, but it wouldn't
He's
surprise
probably
me
a
if he was like a
fucking
Vegas
Avalanche
Knights.
fan. All right. He's an Avalanche fan. If he wasn't a Yankees fan, he would be like a Mets fan or something like just,
He's a Padres fan. Like he cheers. Oh my god,
oh,
he cheers for the
Padres. Yeah.
Yankees, the Brewers, the Padres. It's
So let's
ridiculous.
think about this one. This one's important because now Christian McCaffrey might be out with an Achilles injury. So who's his backup team going to be to the 49ers? It's probably going to be like the Cowboys or
His wife's
the
favorite team
Chiefs.
is
He's
the
going to be
Cowboys.
but the thing is, Trent's a Chiefs fan because he's from Kansas City, so that's fine. But it's gonna be a top team. He better
Yeah.
not be a Lions fan.
No, he's not gonna do that. That's
Yeah,
not his style. He'd be like a Dolphins
yeah,
fan. He's gonna be a bandwagon
yeah. Well, no
type of fan.
quarterback to Tyreek Hill. Uh, Gowers, have you read any good books lately? I read a lot of books to Ishan. Llama Llama Red Pajama, Corduroy, that sort of thing. I haven't really had much time to get into a good book recently. Um, some leadership books for work, obviously, but nothing cool recently. So that's going to be my, I don't know, New Year's resolution for next year. Read more books. It's been a while.
Nice. So the book that I'm kind of reading, this is not what Dan wants. Dan wants novels, but my boss has a PhD in organizational psychology. So Flawless Consulting by Peter Block. It's what I've been reading. Super exciting, riveting stuff. I'm trying to think of a novel that I've read or something like that. I read a book on the Hudson Bay Company that took like several months to read. It's called The Company. It was actually pretty dull. I read a lot. I tend to read a lot more nonfiction than I do fiction. The only way to play it I think it's like a poker player wrote a book about some of the experiences that he had as a poker player, but it was like more like late 1990s. That's like more Rounders era. It's
Yeah.
kind of entertaining. Like because it's a lot more entertaining than like kind of someone playing online. Um, but those are the only books that come to mind for me. Uh, what is Trent saying? Is Crowdy's season with his roster the biggest letdown points league history? If not, which team manager holds that title? It's probably Vandy. I don't like. That's a really interesting question, Trent. Rob didn't have any
Well,
expectation going into the
you
season. Like
you
he
picked
wasn't.
Jack. You picked Jack to like finish top five, top
I picked
six,
him to
right? And he
win.
had some injuries.
Yeah, I mean, but like that was the thing, and that was the reason that like if you look at my preseason predictions, why I colored teams the way they did, like the team that Vandy went into the season with at the beginning of last year was in blue. No team got a blue highlighter this year because like we should have been hanging Vandy. Like basically the season that Andrew had last year was the season that I expected Vandy to have last year. So like in my mind, like from that standpoint, I think it was this one, even though Vandy did make a hell of a run towards the end. But it was a much more trying year for him than I think anyone anticipated. Um, I can't really put Jack in there. Like I think I had the best team, but it was like the best of a group of five. With Vijay second, I think I had Andrew three, Kaiser four, and Crab five. So like there was really no expectation on Rob to say of a letdown. Like he had an expectation, but like Rob's expectations of himself are always higher. Like he is a walking Dunning Kruger effect. Like he's the personification of that. Which is the fun part about being friends with Rob Crab. He's an irrational confidence guy. Um,
Hey, he can fly a plane, right?
yeah, yeah.
So even if he's running through turbulence.
Terrifying. Terrifying.
I think this is funny. I think Tim Burton, Krabby will pick the Packers. Yeah, I hope he does. So he jinxes them 100%.
I
I
could
hope
see
they
that.
go. Yeah.
I could see that. Is there a like a quarterback from Notre Dame? Like, I feel like that would be something he would go with because he's a Notre Dame football fan. I am as well, but like, I haven't watched, yeah, I haven't watched Notre Dame in a long time.
Jimmy freaking Clausen. What that like all the D bags play quarterback in Notre Dame. Jimmy Clausen, Brady Quinn, all those guys.
Ron Pauls. Um, let's travel. Da, 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 da. Read 101 books. Uh, I don't really have anything else. Um, I just wanted to say again, good year. Sorry, everyone, but the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Did it again. Sucks. But you'll get your chance again in 3 months. And but VJ, tremendous season. I, I really didn't know what to say, and I still don't know what to say because like in any of you win, you win a league. Just fucking blows.
Yeah. The thing is, though, everybody's gonna hate you next year. Whereas,
They hate me
finishing
every
in
year.
second
There's
place.
nothing I can do about that. I'm never getting cheered for unless I'm playing against Rob, and even then, it's just only because it's not Rob. Like I'm never being cheered for me. Like, and I shouldn't be. I'm the most successful player in this game. Like, you shouldn't cheer for me. I'm better than you.
Yeah.
So like, it just should never happen.
Rob,
Respectfully.
Rob, Rob Krabby's in the chat, but Nicefinger has a good question. What was the biggest trade you wanted to make but you couldn't pull off?
Oh, that is a good question. I couldn't pull off any trade because I made the trade I wanted with Trent. And I got Aaron Judge back, and I was happy to get Justin Steele. Like I got kind of what I wanted to fill in the holes in my roster. Um,
The trade I wanted to make was giving you cash when we were like 10 picklebacks deep in Indianapolis for Aaron Judge. I was trying to give you something. I don't even remember what it was.
I probably wouldn't have taken just cash. I do kind of wonder. I actually kind of throwing it back at Rob. The offer that I had to him was Michael King and uh, Bello for Judge. I think that was what the offer was because I really wanted Michael King. Um,
Yeah,
I would imagine he probably would have done that deal, but Michael King will probably have a lot of resale value. Um, I'm not
yeah. You know,
Canadian. That's
it's
actually a
funny.
good topic.
It's funny
So
because
what?
I'm
Go ahead.
Canadian, motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Rob
yeah.
Cravey, I'm Canadian. I was born in
He was
Windsor,
born in
actually, but no,
Ontario.
I'm not Canadian. I'm an American citizen, but I'm half and half. So, and yeah, you can't hate me, Rob Cravey, because I'll beat you again next year.
The worst part about living here as an American is that I have to explain American to Canadians and then like explaining kind of Canada to Americans and like neither of them are interested in like my experience. They just sort of stick with whatever their cliches are about the other culture. Uh
Yeah,
it's a really weird dynamic. What
I
happens if you don't
mean,
have enough to draft? Oh, you get kicked out of the league. If you go you're in bankruptcy. I mean, I am broke. But someone's probably gonna pay for Bailey Ober or Joe Ryan or Tanner Bybee or Justin Steele or Brandon Nimmo or Josh Naylor, who had a hell of a season. Not really too worried about it. If you guys do freeze me completely out, enjoy running the game without me. Um, do you have do you have to pick up free agents post draft? What? What does that mean?
oh, he means like if you don't have enough money to draft people, would you just have to pick up free agents at the end of the draft?
No, it won't work. You have to have at least $1 for every player that goes on your roster. So like I think we have to have 21 players on roster. You have to have $21. Matt Neislinger was in this situation this season. So like he was down to like $6 or $7 when we started this season, and then he made trades and got above that threshold. Um, Nimmo's good, motherfuckers. I don't know what your guys' problem is, but Nimmo, like, Brandon Nimmo is a good player. Like, he's basically the same player as Brian Reynolds and Ian Happ. Like, do
He
not underrate these left-handed white outfielders. Like, they get on base, they hit home runs, they're always in the lineup.
he won you the championship.
He did. He's such a weird runner. Like, I don't know if you saw him actually running around the bases, but he's so padded up and he runs like a
Yeah, no, he
fucking
hit that home
robot.
run, and I said, "Fuck that," and I turned off my TV, so I didn't watch him run around the bases.
I bet you're pretty pissed.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh God,
I don't
this
drop keepers, guys. I get thrown out of the fucking league. Like it's over for me. Like I'm out if that
Oh,
happens.
is there a boycott? It's a boycott, Sean. So you have
We
to
do
go
this
back into
every
the
year.
football league.
Every year, someone's gonna make a trade. Uh, it's the whole game theory prisoner's dilemma. He ran for you while he was running. uh, yeah. All right. Well, anyway, this has been fun. We're gonna
Yeah,
end the stream. Thank you all for jumping on. Hopefully, this was entertaining. I think this went a little better than the panel in terms of at least they can see both you and I. You cannot see me. You haven't been able to see me this entire time because OBS is using my camera. But I think this has gone pretty well. It's a little bit more accessible to everyone, and I think the video and it just makes it better. Plus, it doesn't cost me anything. So I think this is what we'll use moving forward. And then also we get kind of a real live chat where people can kind of respond to this shit talking that goes on. So I think we'll do this moving forward. This
yeah.
has been fun. So
Hey, all I gotta say is this was a fun season. It's on to the Hoosiers now. Go, Coach Signetti, and go Hoosiers football. They're going to go 10-0 into Columbus, and then right after that, it's the beginning of baseball off season.
That's right. Goodbye, everyone.